Good evening, everyone, or afternoon. Yeah, I was a little bored, so I thought let's start even a little earlier today. Billy's over there. We've had a long day, Billy and I. We've been up since around 6:30 this morning. Let me know if you can hear me. There's quite a few of you already here. Alan Zibelman, hi Alan. Cheshire Yeoman is here. Neil Hahn, Linda Compton, Shehan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Jake Perigo. Brady Girding was here earlier. I think he's still here. Loud and clear, that's good. Yeah, Billy and I got up at 6:30 today because I played golf today this morning. We teed off at 8, quite early. It was cold and quite wet. Not It wasn't rainy, but it's quite muddy, the course. I had a nice time though. I played with good friends. We had a good match. Didn't play particularly well, but at this time of the year, I'm not too concerned about my game. I try to relax a little more and wait for spring and summer. That's when the real golf season starts, in my opinion. Coming through and clear, that's good. So we can just chat here if you want to ask questions. And then in about 10 minutes, we'll start talking about the title or the main topic, even though I want to see if I can answer as many questions from the viewers today. There's a lot going on as well, aside from the topic, which is inflation. And yeah, a lot going on socially, politically, especially in those countries in the center of Europe, Austria and Germany, right? Tu Tallman from Hanover, Massachusetts. Jazz Jones from Gosport. Christopher Davies is here. Pat, nice to see Pat. Dale T. St. Louis 9 or Saint Louis 9. I don't know where you are. You could be in France. Stephen Pack is here. No Rush at Life from Quincy, Massachusetts. I think that's where John Adams was born. I think was he the second president of the United States? I read a book about him, biography. Susan Davidson from Virginia. I guess it's a bit like a roll call, right, Alan? Alan said, I am present, Mario, je suis présent in French. I spoke to a Belgian guy that I know. Last year I was supposed to go to actually to the Netherlands for one of his conferences about markets and investments, but it was canceled because of lockdowns. And I called him today. We had a chat. He lives in Spain, but he was actually in Brussels. And I spoke to him about the story I saw in the Daily Mail that big protests in Brussels, like 40 to 50,000 people, and they only showed like they made it seem like it was very violent and like angry. But the guy I spoke with, he said that's not true. There were a few agent provocateurs. They call them Romeos in Holland and in the Netherlands and Belgium. And they're just like there to make the demonstrators look bad. But he said it was very peaceful, probably about 60,000 people. And he said, Mario, you can't trust anything the media says. I think we're going to have a chat next week. He's been on the channel. His name is Brecht Arnert. He's a Austrian school proponent. He's an economist. And I think we're going to have a special interview. It's probably going to be put on BitChute and Rumble, not on YouTube, because we're going to talk about things that, unfortunately, if I spoke about it here, this channel would be in trouble, and I don't want to jeopardize, the community. Mickey from Naples, Florida. Craig Frayne from Ontario, Canada. Cozy Fantuzzi, the Fed has made it clear there will be no tightening of monetary policy. Do you feel there will be hyperinflation ultimately? I think so. They think that they can control the inflation by locking the economies down like they're doing now in Europe. But then when they come back again, it's gonna. I think there will be hyperinflation, definitely. And hyperinflation is not just a monetary phenomenon; it's a social, economic, confidence phenomenon. And I think a lot of people are losing faith and confidence, not just in central banks, but their politicians, their leaders. Even here in England, I saw today that Durham Cathedral up north, in the north of England, they're going to ban people from Christmas Mass unless you have had all the medical procedures. I mean, the Church of England going along with the globalists. I mean, that's not that I care that much, but you'd think that they would be someone who would stand up for the public, but they're going right along with it. Dilwyn Roberts from North Wales. Barry the BOE mug. I'm actually drinking tea. I usually don't drink tea, but it's a good tea. I bought it at Fortnum and Mason, which is a very traditional, very old grocer, like shop, English shop. It's not cheap, but I like to buy a few things there for Christmas. And this is their own blend. It's really nice. You don't need milk with this one. It's like a mixture of Indian and Chinese blends, and it's really good. Dead the Fed, belly dance Arabia. Globalist or YouTube rules, says Pablo Pina. Still got about 5 minutes, still the official start. Just want to say that if you're new to the channel, think about subscribing, and also think about sharing all my videos, because things have slowed down a bit. Videos are still getting a lot of views, but the number of new subscribers has kind of gone down. I'm not sure why. So we need to try to keep getting the word out. Vape King, the inflation BS me up. Bad thing is I'm finding a lot of it is simply price gouging just because they can get away with it. I don't think so. That's what you're probably being told. I don't think it's price gouging. It's because all the costs are going up. The currency is going down. They always blame like greedy business people and greedy shop owners, but the shop owners, they're buying from the suppliers have to buy the commodities. You look at commodities, they've gone through the roof. You look at oil, all energy is going up. And why is it happening? Well, the fault is the central bankers and the government. They've just been printing and borrowing too much currency out of thin air, and all inflation is over issuance of the currency. It's like as if let's say Tesla Corp or IBM or any other corporation came and said, we're going to issue 1 billion more shares tomorrow. That would plummet, the stock price would fall, and you'd be able to buy a lot less with those shares or stock of that company. And it's the same thing they've been doing since the creation of the Federal Reserve. They've been inflating the money supply with no backing, just out of thin air. So that's all the inflation is. We've got a couple of super chats early on. Urban Sombrero, thank you for your super chat. Great show, Mario. Thanks. Are bond vigilantes extinct? I think they're a bit like Rip Van Winkle in a long slumber, but they will wake up one day. I think Yeah, I think the bond bull market is over, so I expect yields to go higher. I know they're still very low. Daniel Thacker, thank you for your super chat. What percentage of the silver supply do you think JP Morgan owns? What percentage of gold do you think the central banks around the world own? I can answer the second question quite easily. They own about 15 to 17% of all the gold that's ever been mined. The central banks, they own about 33,000 metric tons. And I think, yeah, the supply of gold above ground is around 200,000 metric tons. So yeah, it's around 16%. So it's not that much. The thing is that a lot of those 200 metric tons, they're in places where the gold will never show up in the market. They're like being kept safe and probably won't be touched for a long, very, very long time. Like I think religious artifacts and things like that, and temples and stuff, museums. So yeah, as to silver, JP Morgan, I'm not sure how much silver JP Morgan really owns, and I don't really know if they own the silver for themselves or their clients. There's people who say that they've got like 1 billion ounces of silver, but I think annually the supply of silver is like 800 million ounces, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Let me have a look. Annual annual supply of silver. Yeah, yeah. I think the mines. Well, it's about the new supply of silver every year is about 976 million ounces. So yeah, that's what I heard in the past, that JP Morgan owns about 1 billion. So that would be a year's supply. It could be more, could be less. And it could be for a big client. It could be for a government or an international institution. Who knows? So we almost on time. Snowman, what's going to happen to real estate market coming hyperinflation? Well, I interviewed a guy from Beirut in Lebanon, and they've had hyperinflation for the last 2 years. And what happens in a hyperinflation is nobody has any purchasing power. The currency loses its purchasing power. So the real estate market just dies in that there's no transaction. So that's what will happen. You wouldn't really know the price of your real estate in the currency. You could maybe trade the real estate for gold and silver. Belly dance, Robbie, I think JP Morgan owns 600 million ounces. Yeah, that sounds about right. So I thought it was 1 billion. It's a bit less. Yeah, Lester Cheese says that they own nothing physical. Yeah, I mean, some people argue that they do have physical, but they could be holding it for ETFs, and it could be leveraged many times over. So who knows? It's with the bankers, everything is very opaque, and it's usually like they usually I don't like to say the word, but they're actually cheating. They're not being truthful with what they really have. Timeline 101 says, good evening, fellow apes. Yeah, the silver squeeze movement, the apes, Wall Street silver. It's a great movement, and yeah, I'm continuing to stack silver. So the title of the video today, or the live stream, is "Inflation is a modern day version of coin clipping and counterfeiting." And why that analogy? Well, because we're hearing, I saw a tweet the other day from the Economist magazine, and they said everyone was blindsided by inflation. You know, no one saw it coming, but we have. If you've been following me for the last few years, and especially after last year when they printed out of thin air, I said we're gonna get rising prices. We already had the we've had the inflation, of course, since 2008, massive creation of money and credit. It's gone into the right places, right? Like stocks and bonds and private equity, but now it's going into the wrong places. It's flowing into consumer and goods, services, commodities, and the bankers don't like that. So they're pretending they don't know what's happening. But basically, they've been clipping the coin, so to speak. So what was coin clipping? I've got actually some coins here, and we're going to look at how, well, coin clipping first was before they had these, the little, I forgot how you call this when they, maybe you guys know, but if it was smooth around the corner, people would clip the silver from the coin and steal the silver, right? But what they found out as well, governments, is that you could, for example, I've got a coin here from 1888. It's a Brazilian 2000 reais. It's a bit like a half crown UK, or it's a little less than $1, the silver dollar. And I think this coin was the same for about 50 years. But then I think in 1889, Brazil, there was a coup and they overthrew the emperor of Brazil. Brazil became a republic. So that's 2000 reais. And then by 1912, the 2000 had become this smaller. There's still silver in it, but it was 24% less silver, but it said 2000, but you only had the purchasing power of, let's say, 3/4 of that coin. So that's how they used to do it. They used to clip the coins or debase the coins. But since they got rid of silver in the 60s and gold, of course, in Europe and in the teens, 1914, maybe 1930, and in the US as well. So they got rid of gold and silver as currency. There's still, I would say, gold is still monetary asset, but what they've been able to do is just print the banknotes and fool people into thinking that inflation is something that we can't explain. But basically, all it is coin clipping without the coins. So, yeah, that's what we need to know. And I think the central bankers, they're going to do as much as they can to keep inflating the system. They're not fighting inflation. They want the inflation. And it's going to hurt savers. It's going to hurt people on fixed income, pensioners, all the people that should be rewarded for, for saving and doing the right thing. So when they tell you that energy prices are causing inflation, they're fooling you. Or if they say that, I don't know, car prices are putting inflation higher. No, rising prices are the consequence of inflation. And I know I've said this many times, but we need to keep that in mind. Scott, 49140, do you mind me asking, where did you get your half crown? Actually, this is a Brazilian 2000 reais coin. It's kind of like a half crown, the same size. Yeah, these are Brazilian. I have half crowns, but I don't have them with me. I bought these on eBay, these coins. Yeah, eBay. From a dealer, a pretty good eBay store, and it's based out of the Czech Republic. very reliable. So the other coin I want to show, and this is British. So before World War I and before 1920, this was 24 pence or a florin or a double shilling. So 24 pence. It's about the size of a $50, right? And it was 925 silver. But then after 1919, because of all the war, all the inflation, all the money printing during World War I, they ran out of silver. So they took half the silver out. So here I've got the same coin. It's the same denomination. It's from 1938, I think, or 38. It's called a double shilling. What do they call it exactly? Yeah, 2 shillings, which is the same as this one here. But the one on by the microphone, sorry, the one in my left hand here is got 925 silver. This has got half of the silver. So it's the same denomination, but now it will buy you half as much. So that's how they used to inflate it. And people who knew about inflation, they would understand that. So this is a shilling from, I think, 1887. And that's a double shilling, but that's the double shilling with half the silver. So it's the same value in terms of silver, but they've debased the coin. That's how they used to do it. And that's why I think it's important to try to, people should try to resist digital currencies and cashless society as much as possible, because that's going to be another step to them inflating even more and making the purchasing power of your currency even less. So I'll stop here and I'll try to answer some of your questions. IRM 21, Mary, what are your favorite silver coins to stack? I like all, basically, I like all silver coins, really. I don't have a favorite. I do like the 1964 $50. They're really nice. The JFK $50. I like those. They're one of my favorites, but I like all of them. And I've been trying to, in the last 2 years, to buy like silver coins from every country, not the bullion ones, but the ones that people used to use as day-to-day money. Whenever Mara does a guest interview, the comments are filled with love for Billy. Oh, we got Rick Enford and Rick Enfed from Norfolk, Nebraska. Hugh Man says the air pump at the gas station used to be free, but now it is 50 cents because of inflation. Yeah. David Bradley says hello from St. Louis, Missouri. I saw, I'll try to find it here. It's on Twitter. I thought it was quite hilarious. Let's see if I can find it. It was something from CNBC. Where is it? Actually, I didn't save it. I didn't like retweet it to myself, but basically CNBC was giving tips about how to save money for Thanksgiving, which is coming up, I guess, this week. And they said one way to save money is not to buy a turkey. I thought, my goodness, that's what Thanksgiving is all about, the turkey. And they're saying, oh, one way to avoid spending too much money and fighting inflation is not to buy a turkey. So I thought that was quite amazing. Paul M., how easy to liquidate gold when needed? Uh, Gold is the most marketable commodity. It has been for thousands of years. So it's very easy to liquidate anytime, anywhere. And by liquidate, I think you mean exchanging it for the local currency. You might not have to liquidate. You might just use it as money. So you might just exchange it for something. You could pay for something. Gold is accepted everywhere and will be accepted even more when things go south for all currencies. Alan Hua, is the City of London a sovereign state? It is, actually. It has been, I think, since around 1066, maybe a little later, when William the Conqueror came over. He gave sovereignty to the City of London. So the Queen has to ask permission from the Lord Mayor to come into the square mile. So yeah, the city is a sovereign city state, just like the Vatican and Washington, D.C. Fontana Ranja, I would love if you could post the timestamp when you talk about the title topic on your live stream, so I can at least hear your prepared remarks when I'm too busy to catch the stream. I'll look into that. I've never done that. A desert sky, why is gold valuable? Seriously asking, why is gold so valuable, even though platinum is 25 to 30 times more rare, yet half the spot price? Are there hidden properties of gold? Yeah, gold has been money, basically. Gold is not consumed. Gold is rare. It's got probably the highest specific weight of all the precious metals. Um, yeah, platinum and gold. The other thing gold has, that the reason why it's money is that all the gold that's been mined over history, most of it is still above ground. So the stock to flow ratio is over 80 years old, 80 years. So there's 80 years of production of mining in supply of gold. Platinum is more of an industrial metal. It's not money. And the supply of platinum above ground is very small. And yeah, that's it is what people want. It's how people value things. Platinum is a precious metal, but it's not money. And it's not money because it's consumed. And it hasn't been around that long. I think platinum was discovered and processed for the first time about 200 years ago. Euro Titans, thank you for your super chat. Are you familiar with Alistair MacLeod? Yeah, I have listened to Alistair MacLeod for a long time. I agree with everything he talks about. I have tried to contact him to come on the channel, but I never got a reply. But yeah, basically, I'm with him on everything that he says about what's going on. I think we've looked at the same things. We've done the same kind of research about fiat currencies, about history, and what's happening. Whole Bitcoiner, yeah, I should get Rafi Farbers back on for a Sunday night soon. It's been a while. It's been about a month, so it's not regular, but I will get him on. Alan Zibelman, there's an obelisk in Basel now. It's a sculpture. Well, there you go. Basel is the home of the BIS. Basel itself is not like a sovereign city like London, but the Bank for International Settlements is. It's like a it's like a sovereign building there. It's in Switzerland, but it's not ruled by Swiss law, which is really weird. And the other interesting thing about Basel, it's very near the border with Germany and France. So it's like a tri-state area, Basel. And when I lived in Switzerland, I had friends in Basel, friends I used to play golf with, and I used to go there every year to play the Basel Open amateur golf. And it's funny because the Basel Golf Club is actually in France. So you had to drive over the border through into France to go to the Basel Golf Club, but they didn't even stop you at the border. It was like an open border. Uh, David Buseman, where would you put crypto on Extra's pyramid? Hmm. Yeah, that's a tricky one. Not at the bottom. I still keep gold at the bottom. Crypto would probably be, I don't know, under, uh, along with stocks, maybe just above. It's difficult to say because cryptos are so volatile and they don't have the track record. But I would say they're more speculative. They're definitely not at the bottom of the pyramid. A lot of people will probably disagree with me, but that's the way I see it. CM, what is your opinion? This may seem like something from the inside job. Do you think it's possible that there are a few who rule the world? Oh yeah, definitely. There's very few actually. If you've read Creature from Jekyll Island about the creation of the Federal Reserve by G. Edward Griffin, he at the time the people who went down to Jekyll Island, they took the train, the private train car from Hoboken, New Jersey, all the way down to Georgia. Those men control the people they represented and the banks and the interests. They controlled about a quarter of the world's wealth at the time. And I think that's more like three quarters now. Those same group of people, of course, they're descendants now. So yeah, there's and there are people behind the bankers, like the Rockefellers and the Gates, the Rothschilds. There are other people behind the scenes as well. Old wealth European families that have that can trace their lineage 500, 1,000 or more years. I think they have a lot of wealth and they control a lot of things. But I think they're overplaying their hand right now, and it could backfire on them, hopefully. I hope that answers your question. So yeah, I do think there's a few people out there. Yeah, milled edges, that's what I mean. Before we had milled edges, if it was a smooth coin and they were like old hammered coins, people used to try to clip the silver off, but then they made the milled edges. So if you try to clip it, people could tell that you were doing that. Belly Dance robbed you. Look at July 3rd episode. CM. Look at July 3rd episode at World Economic Forum. Oh, I guess you're telling CM to look at my my video from July 3rd. Inner dinosaurs here. Blast from the past. Oh, I'm glad to see you, Blast from the past, because I got your book yesterday. Here you go. So just received it. I haven't started. I've read a little bit, but I'm still reading another book right now. So yeah, this is The Great Depression, a diary by Benjamin Roth. So thank you, Blast from the Past. I received the book yesterday. It took a while, the post. And yeah, thank you very much. Joker Alpha says JP Morgan fined another 60 million for spoofing silver. Yeah, I spoke about that yesterday in my video. I made a video yesterday on Saturday. I spoke about it. Inner dinosaur, yeah. Patrick Gelbke, the massive corruption, the system is bound to self-destruct, the whole house of cards in the day. Yeah, I think so. I mean, what's happening in Austria, Germany, all the protests now in Holland or Netherlands and Belgium, I think people are getting fed up. I think there's still a lot of people that are not awake to what's going on. But yeah, let's see here. I wanted to show you guys, just to show you, that the central bankers, they're really reluctant to raise rates because they can't, and even taper. I saw that there was a Fed official on Friday, Clarida, his name. He said that they could accelerate or increase the tapering, the amount that they going to diminish the QE by, because they're still doing QE. But over the weekend, we've just got the Bank of England governor warns risk to inflation forecast two-sided. So he's getting cold feet. It says Andrew Bailey's comments over weekend suggest expected interest rate rise in December still in balance. So he's giving all these excuses why he shouldn't raise rates, even though RPI was almost 6% last month. CPI is running over 4%, and interest rates are at like 0.1. So the Bank of England shocked the markets this month by not raising rates, and now he's saying that he's not too sure. So I think that's very bearish for the British pound versus other fiat currencies, and especially gold, of course. I expect, of course, gold to go higher and all fiat currencies to go down against gold, because gold and silver cannot be created out of thin air. Yes, the bullion banks created out of thin air still in the futures market, in the OTC LBMA market, but that's not gonna last forever. You can't manipulate the price of something forever. Robert Browning calls him Andrew Bailout. Yeah. The thing is, the economy here and everywhere around the world they're so leveraged. There's so much credit, so much froth, so much leverage, that raising interest rates is a big problem. The only countries that have been able to raise rates are more the emerging market countries, because they have to defend their currencies because they're not part of the club, and they don't have as much debt as we do, I would say. Mr. Siljidi, did you see the last video of John Titus? Yeah, I did see that. That's quite interesting. Thank you for bringing that up, because I wanted to talk about that. John Titus is great. He's been on my channel a couple of times. We spoke, I think, about the BlackRock going direct, how they're hijacking the whole system, the central bankers, BlackRock. I think I spoke to him a few months ago about that. And yeah, he's saying that the Treasury is running out of cash, and that cash that the public is getting, M2, has been going up as Treasury cash has been going down. So the cash is going to the public, and he notes, I think, that the Treasury cash is down to like the last 190 billion. and it was in the trillions, I think, 6 months or 12 months ago. And yeah, they're running out. And that could be another reason why we could see more, another crisis, and another excuse for government, another emergency for the government to uh, create even more programs for the Federal Reserve to help out with even more QE. And we should find out, right? I think maybe tomorrow or early this week, who the next Fed chairman or chairwoman is going to be. And I don't think it makes much difference because Jay Powell has been very accommodative. But I think if it's Brainerd, Lil Brainerd, yes, that could put things on an even steeper path. And by that, I mean the creation of money and credit, the deficit spending, because she's more into the social. Uh, she's written a lot of things about the social issues. About she's also a believer in climate change, and that's one of the things Jay Powell has been a little bit reticent about. So, and if you remember at COP26, we were told that the world needs to spend $150 trillion in the next 10 years or so. So that because of climate change, I know it's all a scam, but be as it may, if they do that, watch out below for all fiat currencies and look up above for real tangible goods and gold and silver, of course, especially. Joker Alpha, the US legislature passed another 1.3 trillion Build Back Better bill, more paper. Yeah, I saw that last week. Yeah, the debt ceiling, I think it's been suspended or frozen. That's right, normal norm. I think Janet Yellen said last week that they've got to the 15th of December and then they're going to run out. Prior to that, it was the 3rd of December, so they've been able to extend it. Is Fort Knox full? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think there's much gold in Fort Knox. Lightning for the CBDCs are coming in due time. China has already been using. I'm not sure if CBDCs are inevitable. I'm gonna try to avoid that like a plague. The people who are gonna be dependent on the government, the people who haven't been running a tight fiscal ship. I've spoken about that. The term economy means managing your household, and that's why I tell people try to get out of debt. I'm not here just talking about gold and silver. Gold and silver is like once you're able to run a tight ship, a fiscal ship at home, and you've got surplus savings, then you're able to put that into real money. But the people who haven't done that, yes, they're going to be dependent on CBDCs, and hopefully we won't. We'll have to try to stay out of that as much as possible. Neil Hunt says, Ich glaube, der Crash wird im ersten Quartal passieren. Neil says he thinks the crash is going to happen in the first quarter of 2022. Is that right, Neil? My German isn't too bad. Helsinki, just yesterday here in Melbourne, it was reported that the state government cannot account for 3 billion of COVID spending. Well, I'm not surprised, Helsinki. I think I saw something here today that the NHS will lose about 3 billion, sorry, dollars because of scams, COVID scams. You see, the governments, when they passed all these COVID programs, they didn't care to do controls because they wanted to get it out there. So there's a lot of fraud, a lot of shenanigans going on. And who's going to pay for all this? We are through inflation for years to come, unfortunately. Maximum Axiom says debt does not exist. It's all a lie. When you talk about debt, you talk about lie. Um, well, I guess under fiat currency system, yeah, it's out of thin air. You're right, but people still work to pay that debt off, even though it's not real. I agree with you. It's all screwed up. Tina Evans says, don't keep money in the banks, only enough to pay bills. I agree. The other thing that you do by keeping money in the bank, you're actually lending, you're giving the bankers an unsecured loan, and they will leverage on your back to hurt you even more through inflation and through other things. Butch Michael says he's got more gold in his wedding ring than Fort Knox and the Bank of Canada as well, I guess. Uh, Echo Chinese hypersonic weapon fired missile over South China Sea. Pentagon struggles to understand how Beijing mastered technology that tests constraints of physics. Well, the Russians, they have hypersonic weapons, so they probably I don't see why the Pentagon struggles to understand that. They're probably working with the Russians, and I'm not even sure. I saw that story, and there's talk as well now that in the mainstream press that Russia is going to invade the Ukraine. There's talk about this Chinese thing. I think these are just distractions to keep people scared, to keep people from really rising up and protesting against the real problem, which is all these draconian controls we've had for almost 2 years, and the prospect of more lockdowns and also like obligatory procedures. That's what we have to focus on, and just say no as much as you can. I understand that some people can't avoid it, but if you can avoid it, yeah, just say no. We need to say no to that. Thumbs up for Billy. 2 thumbs up for Billy, says inner dinosaur. I agree. Hip hip, Billy. Billy's a good fellow. Yeah, Echo. I saw it in the FT as well. And the FT, you can't really trust much of what they say because they get their information from the Pentagon. Inner dinosaur thinks his next door neighbor and kids are aliens. Maria McCrae, I want all my earnings paid in gold, silver, and cryptos and able to spend them on a card that's all linked as well. Yeah, no interest in the old banking system. Dilwyn Roberts, I don't think they're going to confiscate gold again because the proportion of people that have gold today is very small, and a lot of the people that have the gold are people at the top. So I don't think so. I could be wrong. Echo bought 4 ounces of silver tonight. LGX2, do you keep emergency cash outside of the bank? I have 6 months funds, but it's in an account. Well, then I guess yours is not outside the bank. I do keep, lately I have been keeping a little bit of extra cash. It's not 6 months, but yeah, I think it's always good to have extra cash. Scott 49, if we go into hyperinflation, could there be a rise of another dictator preying on the fears of the public? We already have dictators, Scott. So, you know, I don't think so. I think it could actually be a good thing because we already have dictators. It's called the globalists. You know, they're running the governments. So, but it's possible, but I hope not. It's already pretty bad, the dictators we have. Johnny OC, at what point will you concede that advising everyone to buy gold was a mistake? 5 years time, gold remains as a store of value. First of all, I don't advise people to buy gold and silver. I just tell them that I do and give them the reason why. When I started my channel, in late 2015, gold was at $1,045. So I don't see why that is a mistake. And I started talking about gold and silver back then. We're now at almost $1,900. So almost doubled. I think in pounds, we were around 700, 800 pounds. Now we're at 1,300. So, and I tell people that having gold and silver for me is much more than just like the fiat gains. Even though we've had fiat gains, I'm not sure what you're talking about, that I've been wrong about, you know, advising people, even though I don't advise. But I think it's more of being outside the system as well, being outside the banking system. It's also a matter of principle. You're not financing the bankers, governments who don't have your best interests. So, so Johnny OC, yeah, that's my reply to you. I don't think it was a mistake, and it's not going to. It's continue. I'm going to continue to hold on to gold and silver, and I'm going to try to keep stacking, even though it gets harder and harder. And that's the way I view it. But you don't have to, and none of you have to. But a lot of you do, because you've done your homework. I've given a lot of people like references and like places to go and read about money and gold, and hopefully it will help people. Girl OG, thank you for your super chat. Lockdown is a form of interest rate, so they can make money out of thin air. And now we have lockdown too. People have had enough. So soon we're gonna get real interest rate deflation. Eventually, yeah, but right now we got the CPI prices are rising at 5 to 6% in the major countries, and even in Germany, I think the PPI was the highest. It came out at almost 20% PPI in Germany, and the real rates are still massively negative, and for them to become positive is going to take a long time. But I agree with you. They're probably going to do another lockdown. It's another excuse for more money printing. And I think once we come down a lockdown again, we're going to have more shortages. And I think the other thing I said is that hyperinflation. I think we're going to get hyperinflation, and there will be a deflationary economic environment, but the currency is going to collapse as well, because people are going to lose complete faith and trust and confidence, not only in central banks, but the state, not just politicians from one party or the other, all politicians. So that's the way I see it. Hopefully that answered your comment or question, girl OG. T. Ryan, don't listen to the haters. You do an excellent job. You present information fair and balanced. Thank you, sir. Best wishes. Thank you, T. Ryan. Harry Chu says, if gold cannot outperform in a lockdown, when will it, Mario? Oh, Harry Chu, you have to understand actually, lockdown last year was started in March, and I think it went in the UK. I think it went till September. Don't remember until when. And gold went from 1400 to over 2000. So it actually, when there was a lockdown last year, gold outperformed and silver outperformed all commodities. So yes, in the last 18 months or 15 months or so, gold has corrected, so has silver. But yeah, you need to look at the dates, because gold actually dropped from 1750 to 1450, like in the when everything dropped last March, and then it just from like the bottom in March till August, September, it went from, I mean, it went from 1450 to almost 2100, and silver went from below 12 to 30. So what the other commodities are doing now is catching up with gold and silver. And I think, yeah, it goes like this. And I think now gold and silver are going to outperform the other commodities. And I'm not saying I don't think the other commodities are going to keep going up either versus fiat currency. Johnny OC said, appreciate your reply. And I know that it's not going, not a big mistake, but my problem is that gold is rising in price, but not keeping up with inflation right now. Yeah, well, it did keep up with inflation last year. As I said, it went from 1400 to 2000. But the other thing I would say, if you look back to 2001, and on average, up until last year, on average, gold went up about 10% every year in all the major currencies on average from 2001 to 2020. So this year, yes, gold is slightly lower. I think we ended the year around 1900. Last year, we're around 1850 right now. We still have about, I don't know, 5 weeks to go. We'll have to see where gold ends. If it ends unchanged for the year, that average will probably come down a bit, but it's still doing quite well. I would say something that returns 10% a year for almost 20 years is doing a pretty good job. In the short term, of course, things, yeah, things are not, it's more choppy. Lightning for thee says 704 watching, only 279 thumbs up. Yeah, I think it does help the algorithms if I get more thumbs up. The other thing I would say, if you're not subscribed to the channel and you enjoy watching my videos, make sure you subscribe. Okay. Belly dance, Fast Eddie will wait till March. I think fireworks begin. Vernon Decker, who made Bitcoin? You don't know, but you buy. Well, it was supposedly someone called Satoshi Nakamoto, and he wrote the white paper for Bitcoin. And I have to be honest, I haven't read the white paper for Bitcoin, but many people have. And even though it's an anonymous individual, most people who have read it and have gone over it, the tech people, they think it's very good, and it's a very good white paper. So yeah, um, it is kind of weird that it's created by someone that people don't know who it is, but the white paper is pretty solid, and so there you go. It kind of bothers me too, though, not to know who it is. The excuse is that Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he or she is, doesn't want to get in trouble with the authorities, but who knows? Uh, Silgidi is silver price derived from the related future contract price. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the futures market on COMEX and also the LBMA, which is basically a paper market. LBMA is supposed to be physical. Yeah, they set the price. It's the bankers that set the price of the physical of gold and silver. But I think one day it's going to be like in Lebanon, the bankers set the price of the Lebanese lira versus the dollar for 20 years, and it was fixed. And then one day it just like the Lebanese lira just collapsed. The whole thing imploded because they didn't have the dollars really. It was just a mirage. It wasn't real. And the same thing is for gold and silver. They don't have the gold and silver. It's all paper. And one day, when people realize that, I don't know what and when it's going to trigger, but yeah, you won't be able to get probably much gold or silver, and the price is going to be multiples higher. That's what I think. Douglas Wooden, are there empty shelves in your supermarket locally? I haven't noticed that much. My wife does most of the shopping, even though I go with her sometimes, but I haven't noticed, and she hasn't told me that she's seen, she does do shopping for her mother. Her mother's a bit, she needs help. So I haven't. But I've noticed the price of petrol or gasoline and diesel has gone up a lot, even though we don't have the shortages anymore. I think that was probably an excuse to raise the price a lot, because diesel now is like a pound 60 per liter, and I think the the more expensive diesel is almost like 170. So it's 152, I think, the diesel. And before this shortage, petrol shortage, diesel never went above 140. Flora 500 grams was 185 last week. It's now 220. Is that the margarine Flora Echo? Hugh Man says gold and silver were used as currency during the Dark Ages. Well, silver was used as money and currency up until the 70s in Germany. I think in the 60s, most countries still had silver in their coinage in the 1960s, human. And yeah, gold was used as money and currency up until, probably your grandparents or great grandparents were alive in the early 1900s. So I don't think gold and silver were circulating too much in the dark ages. And that's why we've got dark ages now, because there's no gold and silver circulating. That's why we've got dark ages. I think you've got it backwards there, human. Because when you have a civilization that's honest and relatively honest and thriving, and commerce is thriving, and there's honest weights and measures, you have gold and silver circulating. I would say that we've been in a dark age since 1914, unfortunately, since World War I broke out. Oh, sorry, Hugh, man. It's difficult to keep track of all the comments. He's simply correcting the guy who said if we were in the dark ages, silver and gold wouldn't help. Uh, I think it would help. It's just that they go into hiding because, yeah, that's what. And I think we are in the dark ages. And I'm sorry to have had a go at you. I didn't realize you were answering someone else. Douglas Wooden, there's terrifying shortages locally here, gas prices and silicon shortages, that deadlining trucks, volatile situation. I think hyperinflation will occur much sooner. Um, I guess you're in the US, Douglas. Yeah, I think it could happen, and it's going to blindside everyone, especially those who were blindsided by the rising prices that we've seen. The other thing about that's happening, a lot of people are refusing to comply with private companies mandating them to do things. I'm not going to say exactly what it is, and that's having a huge impact here in the UK. My wife and I, uh, we were thinking because her mother, my mother-in-law, she's 89 and she's not well. She has carers going to her home, but we're thinking of putting her in a home. But the care homes, they've got a shortage of staff as well. So yes, it's all unraveling, I think. And like you said, it could become quicker, and it will be a shock to everyone. It could, and once it happens, the good thing about hyperinflation is that it doesn't last very long. It's painful, but it probably will last about 18 months. And after that, it will just stop, and people won't know what happened when it takes place. Even for me, who has been studying and predicting this, it's difficult to see it sometimes. But I think we're seeing it. All the shortages, all the yeah. And the other thing I saw today is that they're talking about in the UK that there's a lot of job openings, but what's happened is that actually the Bank of England governor said that today, that a lot of the jobs have been created by the government, like they're non-jobs, right? Testing for this thing, right? And people to do this, like 200, 300,000 people, they've employed people to do that. So is that a productive endeavor? No. And that's why prices are going up. And so they're crowding out the private sector. And unfortunately, I think they're going to bring in a lot more restrictions in the next few weeks. Um, I know a lot of people still think that they won't do it here, lockdowns, but they're going to destroy even more small businesses. And the more small businesses you destroy, the less competition you have. So the big corporations, then they will start gouging as well. There'll be less competition. Full of Hope says, my mom is 89 too. Her dementia is severe and the care home is expensive, but we cannot be with her in any real sense. It's awful. Yeah, she's got dementia as well. My mother-in-law, she's still in her house, and she's got carers going there 3 times a day. But sometimes at night when she's on her own, it's a problem, but it's a lot cheaper than a care home. But and now the care homes have a shortage of staff because I think 60,000 of the people who work for care homes, they've refused to have that. And I don't know what's going to happen. Echo, should we sell our precious metals during hyperinflation or wait till it's over? Uh, I did a video with Star Path Academy from his name is Arpad. He's in the States, but he grew up in Romania in the 90s when they had hyperinflation. And the thing about hyperinflation, things are so crazy, so crazy that the values, the currency has no value, and you just need to keep track of what an ounce of gold and silver will buy, and just do the calculations. If you can buy a house for an ounce of gold, then do it. uh, if you have 10 ounces of gold and you can buy a house for 1 ounce, do it. So only, I would say, get rid of your gold and silver if you need it. If you want another asset that's heavily undervalued and it's useful to you, do it. But I wouldn't just get rid of gold to buy fiat. you know, if gold was at $150,000, I try to hold it as much as possible, because it's probably going to a million. You saw what happened in Venezuela um, some years ago. Yeah. So yeah, exchange gold and silver in a hyperinflation for productive assets, for things that you need to survive, but never for currency, because the currency is dying. So you don't want that dying currency. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. What will happen to the assets of the Fed's balance sheet when interest rates begin to rise? They'll go down in value, Chris, because they hold mostly treasury bonds, treasury notes, treasury bills, and mortgage-backed securities. So when interest rates rise, the price of those assets go down, the price of bonds go down. They do have, though, the gold certificates, which they value at $42.20 an ounce. So that could be their way of padding up their balance sheet. If we see a bear market in bonds, they could let the market price of gold go up, and even though they value it on their balance sheet at 42, the market investors know that it's not, and they will value the Fed's balance sheet accordingly. So I think that's their get out of Dodge card, the gold certificates, even though they're just certificates, that they're not real physical gold. The U.S. Treasury is supposedly holding that gold for the Federal Reserve in Fort Knox. Fast Eddie says Venezuela will be coming here, and God's money is your only protection. I agree. But from what I heard, like from Arpad and the guy in Lebanon about hyperinflation, is trying to, you might have the gold and the silver, but the most difficult thing might be trying to get things, right? There's a shortage of everything. So yeah, but once the hyperinflation's over, if you get to the other side, I think you do well. And I think it's one of the reasons why also having small silver coins is a good thing. I mean, in Lebanon, they use dollars. That's like the hard currency for them. But if we have hyperinflation in the US and the UK and Europe, I think these will do well. Little silver coins. This is a shilling. It's like a quarter. Like Lynette Zhang says, barterability. And the other thing about hyperinflation, you need to have friends that you can count on, and be part of a local community, and also maybe a community online like we do. We can help each other out. I mean, I got a book, a really nice book from Blast from the Past. Really, I've gotten quite a few things from you guys, and I thank you a lot. And hopefully, I've helped with my videos as well. So it's time to go. Billy and I are going to go to bed soon. So I wish you all a great rest of the weekend or a great beginning of the week if you are in Australia, Japan, or anywhere else in the Far East. Silver coins, they do get, they don't, yeah, they're not as, they do tarnish a bit. They do get tarnished. They're not like gold, but they still look really nice. You know, this is from the 1880s and it's still in good condition. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend, like I said, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's streaming and stream. Okay.